So I tried to do something here, but oh man. So I had dropped the kid off at school, so I got in here late. I got in here around like 7:05. So I walk up this way, get to my stand, through that little opening right there, this little opening here, I get right at the foot of my stand, and there's two bucks fighting and sparring out there. So I hurry up, I get my rope, I put my crossbow on it, and I just quietly get up here, that was pretty good, I will admit that. So I climb up here, I sit here, and I'm looking at these bucks that are over here sparring. So all of a sudden, it wasn't that loud, but they started to work back behind me. And then the clanking started, like clank, clank, just like your rattle bag. And I'm like, uh-oh. All of a sudden, I see deer on the far side of the field here. I'll show you. On the far side of this field, they just ripped through that way. And then I had one come right on the other side of this hill, come into the woods here, jet back out and take back off to the bedding area over there. So they were really, I guess they started out just messing around. Then they got into it and all hell broke loose. There's deer running all over here. And then back behind me, back over there, I had a nanny doe and her youngling. There goes a deer right there. It's hightailing it out of here. Yeah, it was. Man, she took off. You won't be able to see it. I'll show you, because I got this tree cover here. So there's a hill here. So I can see the deer came from way over there and took off back into that bedding area over there. But all hell broke loose, and there's just deer flying everywhere, and I'm hearing the clanking real loud. So that they didn't like that one bit. So then the nanny doe comes up here. She gets to about right here, and there's nothing I can do. I can't be moving and everything. So she moves around to this tree over here. So I kind of turn and grab my crossbow, and it was over. She started stomping, and I tried to get really close to the tree, but you know what happens after that. She started blowing. And she just blew a little bit, and then she hopped up this hill, and I could hear her she was still blowing at something over there, and it was the people getting ready for work. They're bumping their car horns and everything, but they didn't like run away like real fast like that deer was. I don't know what's going on over there. As you can see in the video, man, another exciting day. I like the excitement, but now I'm starting to pressure. I mean, getting up there and seeing two bucks right off the bat before I even hit my tree stand, that's good news. I'd like to be in there earlier, but I had to take the kid to school. So I couldn't get there at, 5:30ish, right before sunrise. I bet you if I got there right before sunrise, I would have seen these guys enter the field. There's nothing you can do. So in that video, these guys are, at one point they're eating together, and then the next point they're fighting, or they're sparring in there. And it got serious there for a hot moment. Before I came in there, there's some does that were working their way. They're about a half a mile away. So I got up there to try and catch these does coming through there, probably going back to the bedding area, because we're getting close to where it's starting to heat up in the middle of the day. Well, to getting to temperature in the middle of the day. 58's not that hot. So I was hoping to catch them coming through, but after those guys started fighting, man, there's deer there that I didn't know that were there, and they're
boom, they're scattering everywhere. The deer society, man, is, the does pretty much stick with the does, and the fawns, and then the bucks, they go in and find their own spot. They don't, stay together very long. It's breeding times, and then, the springtime. Then you have the bucks with their bachelor groups, that hang out together, bucks that hang out together. So it's very dynamic, and it's interesting. To me, it is anyways. So, I had a doe come in after, she figured out that these guys are fighting. She came across. She ended up coming about 15 feet from me. Didn't know I was there. And then she turned, and she got in between these trees, and her body is where a tree is, so there's no shot there. And I'm trying to blend into the tree. I'm sitting back, I'm looking at her. I mean, she's just right off to my right hand side, and it's how you feel. I mean, there's a big controversy in hunting if you're not part of that kind of culture, that community type aspect, and it's whether to shoot does with fawns or younglings. Whether you should take that doe and then pretty much, push that youngling to either hook up with some other ones or defend for itself. There's a lot of controversy in there. Me, it's where I'm at. It's where I'm at while I'm hunting. Am I sitting to the point of the edge of no return where I'm not going to fill a tag, or am I going to pass on some of these deer and then, make a stride to really shoot quality deer? We're juggling that aspect now from these videos that you're seeing. That's what I'm juggling, that kind of perception. And I'm looking at this mama doe coming in there, and I really kept my eyes on that fawn, because I don't need her to do anything stupid. It's bad enough that the mom is this close to me. Sooner or later, she's going to figure it out. And boy, this deer comes ripping out of the woods further down, and she's kind of focused on that. So she looks my direction, and soon as she looks my direction, we lock eyes, man. And it's like, oh, I'm here now, because she's starting to do the head bob, and she's, what is that? What is that? So I kind of lean back in that tree, man, like, go away, go away. Then the old saying is, if she blows, she goes. You know what I'm saying? That's the old saying they have. And so I was hoping, like, just go away. And then she started stomping, and I'm like, it's over with now. I'm just waiting for it. Now at this point, I kind of got my arms crossed. I'm like, well, are you going to do it or not? I'm like, I'm going to try not to make any more movements, because that's what she's seeing, because we both looked that way, and then we both looked back, and she caught me out of the corner of her eye or something. So it's just the way it goes. So she's stomping, and she's doing circles, and she's not staying still for too long. She's stomping and moving back, and finally she turns around and she starts walking towards her fawn, her youngling, and she looks back and she blows. And she's whoo, whoo, whoo. And I'm like, oh man, that's the end of the hunt. Thanks a lot. I said, I should have shot you there. That's pretty bad, because I'm hoping she wanders off there, and because I was grunting at those bucks and trying to get them to come back. See if they got interested. If they're going to be that aggressive, let's grunt. There's a new player in town. let's the more the merrier. So let's get them in there. But they weren't coming back there. I mean, there was just so many deer back there that were either bedding or they were just coming back from feeding. That everything was. Even the squirrels ran up trees, guys. Even the squirrels ran up trees, because those two dudes put up so much ruckus. Because at first, if you have a rattle bag at home and you just slightly go back and forth, that's what it sounded like. And I was watching, and I'm like, well, this is cool. This is something, that you see on TV. Some people don't get a chance to see deer spar, unless you got like awesome land and in an awesome environment. But where I'm hunting, man, this is cool to see. But the further back they got in the woods, and then they really got in the backside of the woods that's behind me, they started to really go at it, man, and that's when everything blew up. And so the doe turns, she gets to her fawn, and then she keeps on stomping, and then she kind of prances off, and the little one follows her, and she gets to this ridge point, because my wind's going this way, she's going that way. So, I mean, she's not going to smell me. So she starts blowing again. And then I look out to the field and I can see a deer take off. And I'm like, oh man, you're ruining everything today, aren't you, sweetheart? So she gets down and she takes off running. She's blowing as she's running. And then, you know, they're way back on the other side of the woods is a subdivision. Well, the people are getting in their cars, they're starting their cars, you know what I'm saying? They're doing all that stuff. She's blowing all the way through the woods, all the way through there. Those people are spooking her. She's getting spooked. Those deer were fighting. She doesn't like that. Her young's with her. It's just, it was a whole hot mess. So, you know, I sat there for, you know, 20 more minutes, maybe 25 minutes. And I was like, I'm out of here, man. There's not, like, the squirrels didn't even come back out. So I shimmy down the tree. And I go and talk to the people that are letting me hunt on their land, tell them my experiences. They're amazed. I'm like, if you ever get a harness, go up in my tree stand. Just sit there. Just sit there and enjoy. This is your property, and you should enjoy that property. You know, and you should enjoy the fundamentals. But, you know, be careful. You know, and I told them, because they had some tents out there that they camped out. I'm like, be careful. There's some coyotes over there. I got some pictures of some foxes and all that jazz. So I'm like, just be careful. You know, you never know what those guys are going to do. Those coyotes are going to do. You know, curiosity gets to them sometimes, man. And they start hearing noises and little kids are squealing and squeaking. You know, you never know, dude. Those things are prone to biting people. They just are. So after that, I go into this other spot that I'm hunting, and I pull the trail cam video from that, and I go home. And lo and behold, man, what's great about this is, I'll throw the picture up here, the spike buck that I shot at and missed, he came back. He gets that's the same deer, I can see the same markings on that deer, same, you know, small little spikes that he's got. So that's good. And he's basically in the same area I shot at him at. So he's still taking a different path instead of the one that he was coming at me where I missed him. But he's still taking another path, and he's still sticking in that area, which is great. Then, you know, I call him the strong 6 that was out in the field. There's another 6 on the camera, and I'll throw it here. You know, he's come into play. And I don't think that's the one out there. I think it was like the 4 or 5 point that I've seen around that area. I'll throw him up here too. I think those were the guys out there sparring. I mean, they're younger deer, but the strong 6 is pretty. It'd be a good starter, you know, to get on the board with. You know, I know everybody wants to shoot the biggest buck in the region, man, but sometimes you have to take what's given to you. And I'd be grateful to shoot that thing, and I would be proud to display him on my wall if I got him. So I got some pictures of some new deer, some new does that I've never seen before. Even one doe that looks like she collects fawns. God, one of those people, right? We already know about some people in government. But anyways, so she had 2 or 3 of them with her. So, I mean, it's really late at this time to be birthing fawns. So I don't know. There's been a ton of deer hitting the area. I mean, go back to my some of my latest videos where I tried to hopefully claim one that was hit on the side of the road, but that didn't work out. But that was another, you know, doe. And up here on the corner by my road, dude, there was a big nanny doe that was hit. She was clobbered. Not much left there. And then basically in the same spot where the deer I made the video about, I think it's Deer Permits and Cops, that video, there's another one sitting in the side of the ditch, no more than 50 yards from where that one is. So they're moving. Be careful if you're driving those country roads. They're moving, and they're moving as fast as can be. Winter's approaching. So that's good to see. It's good to see all this stuff happen, you know, especially when you see it in person. So I come home, you know, because Cindy had to go get an MRI on her knee. I think she blew her knee out. She's hoping she didn't, but, you know, take it from somebody that has blown out both of his knees. You know, it's not a fun experience. So I was waiting for her to get home, looking at these new deer on there. And I was going to drop her off at her mom's house and go back and hunt this other little cush spot that I got back there that I can hunt. And, you know, I always wanted to check the zero on the crossbow when I go out. You know, I think that's important. With the mistakes that I've been having, I can't afford any more mistakes. So I get the crossbow out, and the broadheads that I'm using, you know, I switched them over to these other ones that I've been using for the last few years. Never had a problem with it. Well, I shoot, and I'm shooting from a shooting stick. And this arrow comes off. Even Cindy was watching. She's like, oh, that went way left. And it's doing the same thing it did when I shot at that spike buck. And I'm like, I cannot be having this. You know, I'm looking at my watch. It's close to 3 o'clock. I like to get in there by 3:30. You know, then, you know, the weather will start coming in because there was a front coming in. You know, deer will be moving from that front. And so I go back out there. I shoot again. And son of a gun, man, it's going left. So I kind of tweaked the scope and tweaked some things on there. And I kind of got it where we're creeping closer and closer to the bullseye. Well, then all of a sudden, this thing feels like it wants to shoot to the right. So we're going to the left, we're going to the right. Then I shot high, and I'm like, and I'm shooting off a shooting stick. And I'm like, I don't know where this is going at this point. So I'm like, I'm going to put a field tip on one of these arrows and see what the deal is. Man, it's a bullseye. I'm telling you, I've never encountered this. So I take that arrow out, I shoot it again. It's a bullseye. And I'm like, this isn't right. So then I shoot another broadhead, and it's off. It's off to the right again. And I'm like, I've never experienced this. So I call Sean, the researcher's dad. You know, I'm like, are you busy, man? I mean, he's got knowledge that I can consume and I can use in the future. And I'm like, you got to help me with this crossbow, man. I don't know what to do. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to go out. I mean, I can't go out with a crossbow that's being all kinds of quirky. So I go over there. I tell him my problems. He's like, all right, put an arrow in there and let's see where it goes. So we shoot, and lo and behold, man, it just is coming off odd, and it's just hooking left every time. So he gets the limbs, and he kind of, you know, loosens the limbs a little bit. He's like, he said he's thinking that, you know, it's coming off too hot. You know, the arrow's coming off too hot. So we put a little bit more wax on there, on the barrel and everything. And we shoot again, and, you know, it's still left. And then I shoot again, and it's right. And he's dumbfounded, as I was, of this. So we get down to brass tacks here, and he just looks at me. He's like, look, you know, Sean, the researcher, left his bow here. You know what I'm saying? He took off down to southern Indiana. He's like, you could probably use his stuff. So he gives me the crossbow. We shoot it once or twice, man, and it's just money. And this is freehanding it. This isn't even off a stick. And I'm golden, you know. I'm golden. I'm hitting bullseye. So, I mean, I don't know what's up with that crossbow, man. Honestly, I don't know what's up with that crossbow. This is the first time I've had this kind of problem with it. I've taken quite a few deer with that crossbow, 2 or 3 deer with it, you know, and it's like, what's going on with it? So, ended up changing out crossbows, man. So now I got to get used to this crossbow and, you know, start positioning it in my stand. And I told him, you know, Sean, the researcher's dad, I told him, man, like, look, you know, I got a shooting rail. So it's not like I'm going to always be shooting freehand. So that's why I don't understand why I'm missing so bad with this. He said he's going to toy with it this weekend and try and whip that thing into shape. But again, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with that crossbow. And now that I look at it, I'm glad I didn't shoot it, because guess what? I probably would have missed and spooked more deer. You got to check your gear, man. You got to check your gear. So that's what happened today. I'm blessed that somebody's going to let me use, you know, a crossbow, man. It's going to help out. This thing's a pretty good one. It's a Barnett. So, I mean, it's no slouch. And, you know, putting arrows on target the way we were, man, it's it's going to do the job. It's going to do the job as long as I can do the job. So that's what happened today. Another exciting day, but, you know, no kind of big results like, you know, harvesting an animal. It's just, this is, I've seen this before. I've seen this show before. So thanks for listening to another boring deer story. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, I'm sorry. We've got a whole nother couple of months of this. Plus, we're going to be going on a hunt down in a little bit of the southern part of Indiana, a little bit southern from where I am. And we're going to go pheasant hunting in the middle of winter. So that ought to be awesome. And I think it's going to be awesome because I'm going to be out there with some people that I like. And I love the outdoors. And I have another opportunity. If it all goes awry, knock on wood, if deer season goes bad, man, at least I have another possibility of filling the freezer. Not with what I want, but, you know, it's something that we need, and that's a lot of food. I see a lot of things rolling around in society right now that I'm not comfortable with, and you shouldn't be comfortable with it either. So with all that nonsense and mumbo jumbo, I'd like to thank my old and my new subscribers, just the people that zip through. I greatly appreciate you too. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Do that for everybody that you watch on the interwebs, including me. And, you know, let the hunts continue. Like always, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.